Hi, this is Brett from PM2 Consulting. This is a quick overview of why OKRs are the wiring, the circulatory system that's going to make AI-driven strategy development and execution the thing that's going to be dominating our world inside of a few months, I forecast. This is the executive summary. There will be a series of 3 other videos that go through this in much more detail that are linked at the end of this video. So what is it that just happened? If we take a standard 2x2, if we take a look at understanding on one side and outcomes on the other side, what's just happened is, if we think of the maturation of understanding in organizations, it goes from data to information to knowledge. Data is just, the raw facts. Then we process it. We put it into a spreadsheet and we organize it by region, by product, by territory, and so on. It becomes information. And that's the raw data organized. The information turns into knowledge. We take the information and we use our human brains to analyze it and integrate it into our business decisions and so on. The next step is, I'm going to say understanding. You could use other words. For this session, we use understanding. And understanding is the ability to apply what you've learned in other situations. So a simple example is we've all heard stories about people who are brilliant musicians are also brilliant mathematicians. The systems of math can be applied to noise and music. And that's understanding the application from one environment to another. In a simple world, back when we started, doing the agriculture world, we just did tasks. Eventually, in this new world, we want to move to outcomes. So in the agricultural era, we're down the bottom left corner. In the industrial era, we begin moving up and needing more information and more knowledge. And now as senior leaders, we're applying understanding to all of that. And what's happened is GPT has moved us into this world where the system understands it. Right? So an example is I asked it to create an OKR for a regulated industry to take a lead in their global markets. It came back with dominate our markets while complying with regional regulatory constraints and a series of key results based on this particular client's current capabilities, their current situation, the markets, and so forth. And the idea is it can do this. It's not just logically adding on the next character into a sentence. It does it because it understands strategy, but it also understands leading our markets, in this case, dominating markets. It understands about the markets that we played in. It understands about our regulatory constraints. It knows about OKRs and the structure of OKRs. It understands about our current performance and capabilities. And so it's applying all of these to this new challenge I gave it about writing this OKR. And so that's why I call it understanding. It's more than just knowledge. So to do that, what we need to do is, for the client environment, give them detailed information about their organization, the chart, the career plans, the meetings, so forth. The competition, as much as we can learn from them, their budgets, their org chart, personnel changes through things like LinkedIn and Monster, other businesses that are working in our sector or in the same regions and what their learnings have been. We need to understand what the stakeholders expect, what our economy requires from us, things like technology, the weather, and that becomes the environment that the GPT looks at when it considers. And that's no different than the environment you look at as a manager. Where does that take us? Well, this is what an AI strategy-enabled and development and execution cycle looks like. We start off with a strategy. We can say to GPT, give us 4 scenarios. Based on the scenarios, we'll give you some constraints about resources and people, identify the core strategy we should chase. Based on that core strategy, take a look at our current situation and capability and set targets. Based on the strategy and targets, go ahead and create the North Star, create a presentation to the board, to the executive committee, and so forth. Based on the North Star, do a cascade in the organization. Based on that cascade, take a look at the current departmental budgets, plans, personnel, org chart, capabilities, performance reviews, potential constraints. Based on that, make some recommendations about what each department needs to do to close the gap. Based on that, run the business and change the business cascaded OKRs for that department. Now we have those. Combine that with the actual reported performance. and based on that performance, give us, that honest feedback. Not the emperor has no clothes, but what's actually going on, how are we actually performing, what our actual possibilities are, what other people have done in the same situation, give us recommendations and so forth. Notify us if we're above or below target so we can take action on it. And based on that, using the RACI model, identify who should be in that performance meeting, what the agenda should be. Again, on RACI, who's accountable, who's responsible, who's consulted, who's informed. Find a time, if it's in person, that they can all meet. If it's virtual, same thing. Schedule the meeting, set the meeting agenda. During the meeting, track what the follow-ups are, what people have committed to do, and make sure they get it done. And use that to inform our retrospective, learn forward, and strategy refresh at the end of the quarter. And that is all enabled by GPT. It's all capable, and we're doing this with our clients currently. It's immediately achievable. And it's OKRs that underpin the whole thing, or OKRs become the connective tissue that hold this together. So OKRs are that critical unit that holds together this AI-driven strategy development and AI-driven strategy execution. Now, to learn more, watch the following 3 videos where I go through this in more detail.